I'll start off a story. I'll just wing a certain story that's going to basically set us up for the tool. And so the story I have real quick with a show of hands, how many people like airports? You got a few weirdos in here. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing, right? But I'm always in the airports, right? And so I remember this specific time I was going to a Southwest flight 244. And I'm in a wheelchair. For those of you who don't know, I don't know if that would make sense if I told you I got no legs and one arm too. So I roll up in a wheelchair, and you know what that means when you roll up in a wheelchair. You get to skip the line, right? Focus on your strengths, people. And so I roll up in my wheelchair, I skip the line, and they bring me down to the plane, and I'm the first person on the plane. And I remember it was a 3-seater row, and I sat towards the window so other people can have the best seats in the plane. And, you know, so I remember the flight attendant saying, honey, this is going to be a full flight. I said, no worries. And the plane started filling in. And the plane started filling in, and people are looking at me and then looking away, or, you know, hey, look at that guy. And over the 24 years of my life, I'm in tune with this stuff. You know, I see it more than other people would see it. And so the plane started filling in, and no one wanted to sit next to me. And I felt things that all human beings feel. I felt uncomfortable in my skin. I felt unconfident. I felt like it didn't fit in. Does anyone relate to that? Right? Have we all felt those things in our life? And so the plane starts filling in, and no one wants to sit next to me. And finally, 2 gentlemen have to sit down to, you know, to fill the seats. And I'm trying to be a stud, but I'm looking out the window, and I'm tearing up, and I'm crying. I'm in my head. And I asked myself an honest question. I said, Nick, what would you tell the adults you speak to? What would you tell the kids you speak to? Practice what you preach. What would you tell them? And I said, well, I'm in control of the meaning that I give this situation. And so in that moment, I said, well, Nick, you can cry all the way home because people don't want to sit next to you. You can let this affect your day, your week, your month. Or, Nick, you could celebrate the fact that you have the most leg room in this plane. Boom. In the snap of a finger. Here, snap your fingers for me. I'll pretend. I'm drunk with power up here, baby. Come on. Here we go. In the snap of a finger, my friends. Do you see what I did there? I took a situation that was disempowering, and I attached an empowering meaning behind it, and I turned that loss into a what?
A win.
A dub. Mm-hmm. There's a quote I live by Nelson Mandela, and he says, in life I don't lose. I only win or learn. And when you can operate, when you can frame your brain to only win or learn, if you're up for it, it takes practice. The training never stops. But if you can always see the situations that I only win or learn, what can I pull out of a situation? You change the game for yourself. And so when you change your story, you change your what? Your life.
Yeah.
You change your story, you change your life. And so I'll give you one more example and go into this exercise. But I was born with no legs and one arm. You know, I'll give you back. We'll do question and answer so we can get into like all that. But I want to serve you the best I can here in this short time. And so another story for me. I think we can all agree with a show of hands. Do we agree that middle school and high school are probably the most judgmental times of our lives?
Yeah.
As kids, right? That's a hard time. Like you see the facial expressions, right? It's a hard time. Whether you got legs or whether you got all your limbs, it's hard. And so, I remember in middle school and high school, humans all crave love. We can agree on that, right? We all crave love in some sort of way. And I felt like as a man or a kid with no legs and one arm, I didn't receive the type of love that my boys were getting or that my friends were getting from the guys and the girls. I felt like I didn't receive that love. And so to be fully transparent, females were one of my biggest suicidal triggers. And the reason being because as humans stack thoughts. I want you to write this down. If you got something to write down, humans stack thoughts. And you can stack thoughts in a negative way, and you can stack thoughts in a positive way. And so, for example, raise your hand if you've ever woken up on the wrong side of the bed. Right? We've all woken up on the wrong side of the bed. Or have you ever woken up and immediately looked at your phone and saw a text message, a phone call, or an email that triggered you and set you off for the day? Anyone? Right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, from that moment of you waking up on the wrong side of the bed, if you don't catch your focus, if you don't catch your internal dialogue and the thoughts that you're telling yourself, the whole day tends to be negative, right? We stack. We got to get ready for work. I'm pissed off. I'm in traffic. The tire pressure's off. Jackie at the office. Oh, no Jackie. I hope there's no Jackies in here. But you get what I'm saying? Raise your hand if you understand where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Right? And so humans stack thoughts. And so I had a moment in middle school where I was on the bus, and there was a girl to the left of me, and she was going down the bus, and she was making fun of everyone. And I was like, oh, man, she's going to have a field day with me, right? And so she finally gets up to me, and I look to the left, and I think I'm ready for what she's about to say, but I wasn't. And she looked at me, and she goes, Nick, I don't even have to start with you. You're already too messed up anyway. Look at you. And I'm a 14-year-old kid. And so the first question in my head is, why me, right? We've all had that why is this happening to me moment, right? But I would start stacking thoughts, and the thoughts that I would stack were, Nick, you're disgusting. Girls don't like you because you have no legs and one arm. You'll never have a girlfriend. You never go to a dance. You're going to want to hold your finger. Is that weird, right? We stack our thoughts deep and dark. And it wasn't until I changed my story about that, I changed my life, and this is how I did it. I realized that if a human being, let alone a female, but if a human being doesn't want to love on me because of my physical body, if a human being doesn't want to work with me because of my physical body, if a human being doesn't want to be friends with me because of my physical body, well, wait, maybe this disability is actually working for me, and it's filtering out the type of women and humans that I don't want in my life anyway.
Let's go.
How empowering is that? It's a totally different view on life, yes or no?
Facts.
Right? And that doesn't just go for a man with no legs and one arm, but for everyone sitting in this call who took the time to better themselves today. If someone doesn't love you because you're authentic self, then that's a clear indicator that's not the type of person that should be in your life anyway. Yes or no? Right? Show of hands. Right? And so the things in your life that may be the biggest problems, the biggest challenges, they can become your greatest gifts once you learn from them. And that's me telling you that from a man with no legs, one arm, who hated his body the majority of his life, that when I changed the story, I changed my what?
Your life.
My life.